My name is Corinne Karon, and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States, and I'm a tap dancer who performs, choreographs, and teaches. On a normal day, I can be either teaching, choreograph, or performing between 1 and 3 locations. Sometimes I perform 2 shows in the morning and then end up teaching 5 classes at night. I teach about 23 classes during the week.
Make sure you know what you're doing.
There's no heel, just your toe. You're just gonna swing your leg forward and back.
I teach for 2 dance studios. I teach for 3 universities. I teach probably about 200 students, not including private lessons. And I'm choreographing usually about 30 pieces at one time.
So we have our turn, right? Our shot, up, right.
Dancers are constantly hustling. So you come home from rehearsal, you come home from teaching, and you're on the computer till 3 o'clock in the morning, just doing whatever you need to do to make sure you're prepared for the next day. I didn't know I wanted to focus on tap dancing actually until I was in college. When I first got to the University of the Arts, I was what they call a bunhead, and I was just a ballet, everything was ballet to me. My freshman year, I was able to take class with LaVaughn Robinson, a Philadelphia tap master, who introduced me to the style of hoofing. When I got to the University of the Arts and I walked into his class for the very first day, my jaw hit the ground. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been trying to do for my entire life. That you truly could be a musician with your feet. Because during my, while I was growing up, during my elementary and middle and high school days, I did focus mostly on Broadway. It was mostly a Broadway. The studios where I came from were very Broadway. And so when I walked into his room, I was so overwhelmed and so taken back and just so like, just amazed at everything he was about. And so I just tried to suck up as much knowledge from him as I possibly could. And I always say that, if it wasn't for LaVaughn, I wouldn't be in Philadelphia. If it wasn't for LaVaughn, I wouldn't be doing half of what I'm doing right now. And I'm not even sure if I'd be tap dancing professionally if it wasn't for him. I mean, just the fact that the University of the Arts had tap drew me to Philadelphia. And then when I walked into that room and saw LaVaughn, that was it. That was it. Toward the end of the first semester with LaVaughn, I said, is there anything I can do outside of school just to get that little extra thing that I needed? And he said, I have somebody for you to meet. So LaVaughn introduced me to Robert F. Burton Jr. And then after a few months, Robert invited me to join the company. And of course I said yes. And I've been performing with Tap Team 2 since 1993. I'm almost at my 20th year. I'm very excited about that. Tap Team 2 originally started with 2 people, hence the Tap Team 2. I took over as the 2, as Tap Team 2, and that opened up the possibility for me to hit the road and tap dance. And at that point, we were performing 25 shows a week. So it was an unbelievable experience.
I tried not to do that.
Ooh, he jumped.
It's the brush that goes into it. Okay.
Yeah.
You do the shuffle thing after the second one, right? Or the third one?
I don't know. I haven't said it. I'm just messing around.
It was like
Just
that.
a little something.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's up and down.
I will in the show, I'm sure.
Oh, Lord.
You know I got to clown a little bit.
I know.
When I joined Tap Team 2 in 1993, a few years into us becoming a company, Robert landed a role in Riverdance. And when that happened, Robert ended up giving me a lot of his jobs. I started working at Bryn Mawr College. I'm still there to this day because of Robert. I started working at the Wissahickon Dance Academy. I'm still there because of Robert. And then because Robert got so busy, I had 1 or 2 opportunities to perform in the Caribbean. It opened a lot of doors for me. It's the only job I've ever had. I've never done anything else. And it's amazing to me that I've had the opportunity to be able to tap as a career.
The original version of the basics, of course. Choreographed by Pete Nugent and Honey Coles of the Copaesthetics.
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 Yeah.
What did I say? Copaesthetic.
Copaesthetics.
Ah!
Just so you, since you're on tape, copaesthetics.
Copaesthetic. I can't say it.
Copaesthetics. Just don't put the T in at the beginning.
Copaesthetic. I can't say it. Copaesthetics.
You just said it.
I didn't.
Copaesthetics.
Copaesthetics.
Yeah, that's it.
Copaesthetics.
What a mess.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm more comfortable dancing with them than I am alone. You know, as soon as we get on stage, we're laughing, we're having fun, you know, and it's very comfortable to know that if something crazy happens, no one would ever know because we have such a long history together that it's, you know, easily fixable. I teach and choreograph for 3 companies, Tap Team 2, Men on Tap, and Uniting Colleges through Tap. I met Men on Tap because I answered an ad on a flyer when I was in college. It was 1993. Men on Tap is a premier gay tap company that is in Philadelphia. Again, like Tap Team 2, they've just turned into family. UCTT, Uniting Colleges Through Tap. We started 4 years ago. Someone said, oh, you should put a company together and just only have all the college people in it. And I was like, well, that's not a bad idea. Because in all the colleges where I teach, where there's a very strong dance department, there are no tap ensembles. So the mission of Uniting Colleges Through Tap is to, you know, teach audiences through performances about tap history and educate people as well as entertain them. My claim to fame at this point in my life is that I've had the wonderful opportunity to have tap danced on every continent in the world, including Antarctica. Of course, there are no theaters there, there's no businesses, there's nothing there but the locals, which are the penguins. Halfway through the trip, we camped out overnight. In fact, to this day, it is the only time I've ever gone camping. One of the tour guides got a nice old piece of wood from a rundown hut, and he put it in the middle of the campsite, and I performed. I did the shim sham, I did a few Tap Team 2 numbers, I did a bunch of improvisation, everybody went wild. It was a lot of fun. I tell people, if you're only gonna leave the country once, you should go to Antarctica. When I got to Philadelphia and I met LaVaughn, not only was it a complete open door for me to learn this style of dance, but it completely opened a door for me to learn the history of the style of dance, because I never had that opportunity before. Well, I found out from LaVaughn Robinson that the tap history in Philadelphia is extremely deep. Not only did the Nicholas brothers do a lot of work here when they were little, Honey Coles was from here, the Condos brothers were from here. He used to talk a lot about the corner of Broad and South, that, you know, tap dancers used to, you know, in his days, people didn't go to school to learn how to tap dance. They learned how to tap dance on the streets by challenging each other, stealing steps, just being out there. They listened to the sounds of the streets and tried to create their own rhythms. And he would say that the closer you would kind of work your way down, the numbered streets, will go 20, 19, 18, 17. Now Broad Street technically is 14th Street. When you got to Broad Street, you made it.
way to communicate with the musicians, to let them know how fast to play, how slow to play, what style of music, whether they're doing jazz, Latin swing. So time steps are a very important step in tap history. Now, so your weight's not changing, you keep the same flow.
Originally, I started teaching to make money. Originally, it was like, oh, I don't have to work like in Starbucks. I can work, I can teach. Like, this is awesome, you know, and you get paid pretty good teaching per hour versus a minimum wage job. As I've gotten older and I've understood the value of passing history along, now I teach because I realize not everybody teaches that way. And that I realize now that there's a need for a teacher who has that passion and has that knowledge to be passed on. I was teaching something of LaVaughn Robinson's, and I had a student say to me, "Do we need to remember this tomorrow?" And I was like, "You need to remember this for life." I'm like, "Tomorrow?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, because I just feel like, you know, at some point, you know, LaVaughn has passed on at this point, and at some point, I too will have passed on, and I'm saying, you're gonna be the only person in the world who knows this step. Like, how are you gonna not think, like, not remember this tomorrow? And that's LaVaughn's legacy. Like, that's it. Like, if it doesn't continue through the younger generation, it'll be lost, it'll be gone. And so I feel very passionate about the idea of passing things on.
So LaVaughn Robinson was a master, or is a master tap dancer who tap danced in Philadelphia for 73 years. The combination we did tonight is a very famous combination because every student who ever graduated from the University of the Arts learned that combination. So if you meet anyone in the last, like, I don't know, 30 or 40
Now that I understand, you know, more about the history of tap, you know, it makes you a better tap dancer. It makes you enthusiastic about tap. To me, like, when I see some of these guys dance and some of these ladies dance, I'm like, wow, like, that's what gets me excited to get back into the studio and to try to do something, you know, and that's where your education is, and that's how you learn, and that's how you know, you help your technique grow and get better and cleaner. I mean, I think that goes with anything. Like how can you study and spend your life focused on something and have no idea where it's coming from? So, you know, I think it's very important to pass that on. Like, when my little guys who are 6, 7, 8, you know, understand who Jimmy Slide is, that makes me feel good. It's like, okay.
So, yeah. One more time.
My little guy was born on October 20th, 2009. I have a picture of him 3 months old in a tuxedo onesie and handmade tap shoes. Because at that age, you can't buy a pair of tap shoes. And I was like, he needs some tap shoes. Every time he gets a wooden puzzle, he dumps out all the pieces and he flips it over and he uses it as a tap board, which is hilarious. We have carpet in our apartment. So he found a means.
What's his name?
Haynes.
Ah, and who tap dances on Sesame Street?
Savion.
Savion! Good job, sweetheart. Good job. We're getting closer.